Йо, это Гатскинг, и сегодня мы спустя месяц возвращаемся в Dragon Age Origins. Как вы видите, у меня небольшие изменения в отряде, и, собственно, я просто побегал побочные здания, попроходил. Алло, народ, блядь. Просыпаемся. Подъем. Подъем переворот. Так, ребят, это, мне помощь нужна. Давай мы уйдем. Давай мы уйдем. Посиди, отдохни. Там Алистер соло гасит. Надо пойти помочь ему хотя бы. С вот этим мелким чертом. Я разберусь. Хотя бы с ним я должен соло разобраться. Туда его. Чтоб не втыкал. Черт, блядь, недоношенный. Гарлок. Вот и Гарлок вожак. О, гномы. Ебать, гномы. Я надеюсь, они важные хуи.
Road's been mighty dangerous these days. Mind if I ask what brings you out here? Perhaps we're going the same way. Grey Wardens? My, that does rather explain a lot. No offense, but I suspect there's more excitement on your path than my boy and I can handle. Allow me to bid you farewell.
Я не обижаюсь, вы всего лишь купцы, а мы тут...
Now then, let's get this mess cleaned up, shall we?
Так, я вообще вот к этому шел. Возьмем, похуй. Награда, маг крови. О, запечатанное письмо. Блять. Ну, нового квеста у нас не появилось. Сохранение игры. Да. Уёбываем отсюда, собственно. Чё ебать, это что происходит? Это дракон? Это вообще нехорошо. Блять, это плохо. Дракон, это плохо. Это очень плохо. Это очень хуёво. Это так хуёво, как только возможно. Блять, нам пизда.
Well, it is real, sort of.
Чего?
You see, part of being a Grey Warden is being able to hear the Darkspawn.
Пиздец? У них драконы. Ну, драконы, как минимум, пока один.
Archdemon, it talks to the Horde, and we feel it just as they do. That's why we know this is really a blight. I don't know if it's really a dragon, but it sure looks like one.
Архидемон похож на
But
дракона.
yes,
Пиздец.
that's the Archdemon. It takes a bit, but eventually you can block the dreams out. Some of the older Grey Wardens say they can understand the Archdemon a bit, but I sure
Ебать,
can't.
понимать
Anyhow,
архидемона.
when I heard you thrashing around, I thought I should tell you. It was scary at first for me too. Other than dying young and the whole defeat the blight alone thing, no. I'm all tapped out for surprises. Anyhow, you're up now, right? Let's pull up camp and get a move on.
Лагерь, это колдовство, блять. Дам-дам-дам-дам-дам. Лагерь. О, ну мы отхились. У нас теперь лагерь есть, типа, охуеть. Айдар, блядь. Стоянка отряда. Поговорить с дварфами. Так, это Люся. Это Лилиана. Лилиана.
Yes?
Хочу с тобой поговорить.
Well, here I am. Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Бу-бу-бум.
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's God, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
Понимаю. Твои идеи мне нравятся больше, чем церковные.
Thank you. Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide
Вот
if I
именно.
am worthy, not men.
Если
not
уж
the
Бог и
chantry.
есть, то это
But there
явно
is
ему
work to be
решать, а не
done.
другим.
And I have talked enough for now.
Да, окей, спасибо. Было приятно попиздеть.
What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? Let's see. I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. You're telling me I was banished to the kitchens to scour the pots more times than I can count. And that's a lot. I can count pretty high. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky. Oh, I suppose the Chantry life is good enough for some.
Ну да.
Here, we have the chance to
Здесь
fight
я
against
с ним
the blight,
соглашусь.
to actually do some good instead of sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have. He was
Да.
a good man
А
who
его
didn't
просто
deserve his
предали.
fate. That
Блядь.
much, I'm sure.
Хуй долбоёб на
Come
улице
on,
что-то
let's
взрывает.
go. I think I'm done talking.
Да. Такое себе, блядь, получилось.
Yes.
Уйти, не надо никому уходить.
Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. I am hardly surprised. To
Yeah.
answer a
На
question,
какой вопрос?
were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer. Yes. Never.
Never?
I cannot go home.
Нихуя себе.
Thank you. Can we move on? We keep the Darkspawn waiting. As you wish.
Так. Стена... Нихуя себе. Ты еще чё за заебал, блядь?
You're a hard man to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy. Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader? Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've
Видимо,
known each
решил,
other
что
for
ты мне
years.
нахуй не
But
нужен.
here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the
Ой,
Wardens.
блядь,
And
началось.
for me. But poor Duncan's... Well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His
Умник,
pledge
блядь,
fulfilled.
откуда ты знаешь об этом?
Well, as you know, my family's name is mud around noble circles. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last warden commander of Ferelden back when the
Нихуя
wardens were
себе.
known as
Да сейчас их
freeloaders.
вообще предателями
So
считают.
King Olin banished the wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles. Hard to say. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one, and our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Dryden's are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
Это все круто. А ты, может, расскажешь, блядь, что от меня-то надо?
Ask for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honour. Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honour. Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now. A thousand blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Так. Здесь по-любому, наверное, Морриган. Да.
It's good to see you, my tiny
Да, блядь.
rescuer. Bodon Fennick at your service.
Иди нахуй.
Once again,
Я не с тобой
I
хотел
saw your
разговаривать.
camp and thought to myself, what safer place to rest for the evening than in the camp of a Grey Warden? I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes? I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your
Так вот
discount.
сразу. Чё бы продать тебе-то, блядь? Большой меч. Большой меч мне нахуй, собственно, не нужен. Но пусть будет. Вот это надо будет взять. Подожди, это лучше? Не, хуйня. Это получше будет. Я вообще с Морриган поговорить хотел. А вы тут, блядь.
What do you wish of me? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. I am here because Flemeth commanded me to aid you. Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer.
Нет, нет, нет.
Then I assume our discussion ends here.
Да, блядь.
What do you wish of me? If you must. I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in
Блядь, минус
wilds.
10.
The chastened have
Пиздец.
tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A
Пиздец.
most amusing legend. Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know? Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a
Магический
magical one.
талант.
'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you
А
must
ты меня не
remain
научишь?
disappointed. The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they
Нет.
are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess. There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary. They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their
Прикольно.
species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they
Ну
are
да.
still animals. Thus
Понимаю.
they cannot speak, even were I to ask. No, 'tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of
Ну,
Magi,
я не особо
despite
увлекался
what
магией,
those
знаешь
mages
ли,
would have you
в
believe.
ВЯХ.
Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
Ух, ебать.
Not all apostates use the forbidden blood arts. Maleficarum do, but to condemn all who do not fall under the circle's thrall for the sake of what might be is a dangerous path to walk. There are those who look on the word apostate as meaning
Она
freedom.
интересная на самом деле.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural
Нет.
abomination to be put to the torch? Oh, you're simply full of surprises, little man, aren't you? But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Я хоть немного сейчас подниму. 3. Ну, блядь, такое, честно говоря. Что он мне дал? Стоянка отряда. Ага, мор. Ага. Премиальный контент. Ну, это не нам. Мы идем с дварфами, говорят. Да подожди ты, ёбаный ты, блядь.
Hello. The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him what was he?
Мастак, блядь.
A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed. He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform. But
Неплохо.
my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
Enchantment!
Нихуя себе. Охуенно. Надо бы, блядь, оружие поменять. Хранитель клятвы. Все, заебок.
You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the
По
road.
факту.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected.
Да-да-да-да-да. Я продать просто хочу этот меч.
Enchantment?
Oh, certainly.
Да, блядь.
Something you need?
А,
I suppose since you told me about you being a Grey Warden, it's only fitting for me to be as open. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there too, merchant caste. These things are in the blood. You know.
Понимаю.
You can't just leave them behind. I
Понимаю.
ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose. One day, a noble woman came to my store.
Пронизительно
She looked
закричала.
around for a
Нихуя
bit
себе.
and
Я
then
просто читаю
started
быстрее, чем он диктует.
shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that. Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tides. They're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure. Something worth a little gold.
За золотишко.
The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what
Ну
they
да,
planned for me.
тоже верно.
I didn't want to find out. Bribed the guard that was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
Справедливо.
You're quite welcome. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
Вот, в своем рассказе ты не упомянул сына.
Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think. And he was never quite
То есть
right
это,
back
короче,
then.
не родной
I
сын.
took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the surface. He may not be my blood, true, but I think of him as one.
We left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again. It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem to enjoy it. At least.
Колдовство. Блять, веселый такой пиздюк.
Of course. Good fortune to you and yours.
Не буду сильно вдаваться, а то мы тут, блять, у нас видос будет из диалогов. Это, ну, бля, пиздец. Мор. Эрл Редклифа. И чё мне? Куда мне, блять? Идти, ползти? А, вон оно. Ну шо, идем. Собрать отряд. Айдена я не могу убрать.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Ну вот эти мне нравятся. В принципе, прикольные такие. Ай, блядь. Сука. Куда мне надо-то, блядь? Пик солдата, мне это нахуй не надо. Лотеринг. Ага. Блять, куда мне? А где мне его считать? Мне в Редклифф надо, блять. Дебил.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Редклифф. Мне нужен Редклифф. А, вот. Лотеринг. Это чё? Денерим. Вот, деревня Редклифф. Чё, блять? Чё за закусь-выкусь нахуй? Сука. Ай, блядь, ловушка, да какая ловушка? Я сейчас умру.
Begin the onslaught.
Ему вообще похуй, да?
Come, let us end this. I shall do this.
Давай, гаси его.
Don't give them the advantage.
Туда их. Чтоб не
It is
втыкали.
begun. As you say.
Во, пригодится. И, блять, взяли и испортили мне всю жизнь. Блять, ловушка сработала. Дальше в этом направлении незачем идти. Ну, идем, значит, вон туда. Дальше в Редклифф. Все, идем в Редклифф. То напали черти ебучие, блять, пидоры. Ой. Оба.
Look, can we talk for a moment? I need to tell you something. I should probably have told you
Что
earlier.
случилось?
I don't know. I doubt it. I've never liked it, that's for sure.
Ну
Well,
давай.
let's see. How do I tell you this? We're almost at Redcliffe. Did I say how I know Arl Eamon exactly? I'm a bastard. My mother was a serving girl at Redcliffe Castle, and she died when I was born. Arl Eamon took me in and raised me before I was sent to
Ну
the
я
church.
так и
The
думал.
reason he did that was because, well, because my
Нихуя себе.
father was King Marek, which made Kaelin my half-brother, I suppose. Maker's breath, I hope not. I don't think so. You don't think so?
Ну да, тоже верно.
I'm a bastard. And nobody even knows about
Да,
it.
он бастард.
I would have told you, but it never really meant anything to me. I was inconvenient, a possible threat to Kaelin's rule, and so they kept me secret. I'd never talked about it to anyone. Everyone who knew either resented me for it or they coddled me. Even Duncan kept me out of the fighting because of it.
Это все нормально.
I didn't want you to know as long as possible. I'm sorry. Oh, good. I'm glad. It's not like I got special treatment for it anyhow. Arl Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, despite all the problems it caused with the king so soon after the war. He loved her a great deal.
Понимаю.
Anyway, the new Arlessa resented the rumors which pegged me as the Arl's bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed.
Понятно. Ведь она решила тебя сослать.
She did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10. Just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me. Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence. I can see that now.
Ну,
I can't say I blame her. She
тут,
wondered if the
как
rumors
бы,
were
раз
true
ты ее не
herself.
винишь, то я тем
I
более не
remember
стану.
I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's.
О,
I was so furious at being sent away. I tore it off
неприятно,
and threw it
наверное.
at the wall,
Блядь.
and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The owl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was. but
Мой дурак.
I was stubborn. I hated it there and blamed him for everything. And eventually he just stopped coming. And raised my dogs. Or I may as well have been the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that, I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man and well loved by the people. He also was King Kaelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain
Да,
paid
по
for what he did.
факту.
So there you have it. Now can we move on? And I'll just pretend you still think I'm some nobody who was too lucky to die with the rest of the Grey Wardens. See? I knew you could do it. It's easy, isn't it?
Ну, классный паренек такой. Редклифф. Так, мы в Редклиффе. Так, мы и так в Редклиффе. Вообще, раз уж мы добрались до Редклиффа и столько всего потратили на разговоры с теми, с другими, с третьими и так далее, думаю, на этом, собственно, можно эту серию закончить. Да, понимаю, не очень-то много с учетом того, сколько кто-то мог ждать, если кто-то ждал, но теперь я более-менее вроде живой, так что... Возможно, будет побольше, почаще роликов. Это мы узнаем, увидим. У меня тоже есть планы после Dragon Age, которые я, возможно, начну выполнять параллельно. Но сейчас это не суть важно. А с вами, как всегда, был я, King. Всех люблю, целую, обнимаю. Еще услышимся.